Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. My guest today is Karen Grosz. For the beginning of your most intentional one. For many people, retirement is something they have spent decades planning for financially. But once the career ends, the structure disappears and every day suddenly becomes Saturday. A different challenge emerges. What do I actually do with the rest of my life? Today's guest believes retirement should be a launch pad. That today's guest believes that retirement should be a launch pad, not a landing. Karen is an author, speaker, and creator of Nesters. She is the author of What's Next, Retirement, The Art of Living Forward, and after 25 years coaching high-powered doctors and lawyers, and 15 years running a successful national team building company, Karen chose to dedicate her next chapter to helping people retire forward. Karen has a fascinating story of her own. She was once told by a high school teacher that she was too stupid for college. She went on to build successful businesses, coach accomplished professionals, write 7 books, and now she's creating a community centered around one deceptively simple question: what's next? Karen, welcome to the show.
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed that introduction.
Yeah, that was very kind of you. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, I have a pleasure. So, you have spent decades helping high achievers perform at their best, but you have identified the different challenge in retirement: the loss of identity, structure, and purpose. Why does retirement catch so many successful people off guard?
It's a great question. I think it catches us off guard for two reasons. One, we are so busy being our professional selves and being our title that we can't imagine that ever goes away. So that's the first thing. We just can't imagine that we won't always be that. And then secondly, it's because we simply don't take time to prepare. We prepare our bank accounts and we prepare our finances, but we don't prepare our mind for when we aren't going to work and being called the leader or the boss anymore. And it does catch people off guard.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen. So, you described something called the 2 month crash, where retirement can start feeling like every day is a lost Saturday. Tell us what is happening psychologically during that period.
Yeah, at first, when you retire, you are so excited to get to sit on the patio or the lanai with your coffee in the morning and read a good book and catch up on Facebook. And most people plan a trip and they plan some things around the house, but then they stop feeling important. They stop being invited into meetings and they stop being, they're having water cooler conversations. And so psychologically, the brain starts to slow down and they crash because they don't feel worthy. They feel like their legacy is slipping simply because they've not kept themselves busy and found other places to give their input and to give their thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen. Uh, what can someone do before retirement to make sure they aren't simply retiring from something, but actually retiring to something?
So the idea is that it's so easy to retire from your job. I'm going to stop being a doctor. I'm going to stop being the team leader. You are retiring from that work, and that's really easy. We spend our whole life thinking that direction, that we'll retire from our job. But we forget that you have to retire to something, and that to something needs to be more than just coffee on the patio. It needs to be more than catching up on the news cycle that will hit you every single day. So what I try to help leaders understand is that in the months and the years before retirement, we can set them up on a purpose journey. And that purpose journey really does use what they're already good at or what they want to be good at. They might want to completely change what they're doing, but that purpose journey helps them to rethink who they are and think about what they want to give to the world. And they get so excited about retiring to that retiring from the job is not as disappointing. It's not as hard because they're going to retire into this new purpose journey. And that new purpose journey doesn't mean that they're going to work 8 hours a day necessarily. It just means that they know who they are and what they want to give to the world.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen, for that wonderful answer. So you talk about three different moments when leaders can prepare for retirement. Tell us, what are those three moments, and is there one that gives people the best chance of creating a fulfilling transition? Hello, Karen.
Okay, Karen. So I don't know if you got my last question.
Say that again.
I said I don't know if you got my last question.
I must not have, because everything went black. I just was messaging you that I felt like I'd lost you.
Okay. So you talk about three different moments when leaders can prepare for retirement. What are those three moments? And is there one that gives people the best chance of creating a fulfilling transition?
So when people get ready to retire, there really are there are three things at play. One is done is done. The calendar date is set and they just are prepared to be finished working. It doesn't matter if things are a mess, if things are going really well. It's just done is done. This is the date I'm going to walk out the door. And for some people, that date is set in concrete for years before they go. And for those folks, quite often they do have an easier transition into retirement because they knew it for so long. And they're not taking their identity into retirement. The second one is the legacy exit, and that the legacy exit is that we just finished a big project, we just launched a new building, we somehow maybe just grew a new leader. And so that legacy exit says that everything is really amazing in your career right now. And this is a good time to walk away because people will pat you on the back and say, thank you for a job well done. The third type of exit that is actually fascinating is the hardest exit. And that is when things are a mess. Maybe sales are down, numbers are slumping, the team isn't getting along. And the leader steps back and looks at themselves and says, oh my gosh, I am no longer the leader to drive this team forward. I'm not the leader to drive this company forward. And so they decide that it's okay to retire at that point. And while that could be sold as a failure, it really is not a failure because they can transfer what they know to the new leader and give them the opportunity to be the hero. That new leader gets to say, okay, I know what the past was and I know what the future can look like. And the retiring leader gives them the grace of getting out of the way to do that.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen. Then you were once told that you were too stupid for college. That was very harsh. So for most people, they find it difficult to recover from that because words are very powerful. So tell us, how were you able to overcome that label, and why do you think our old stories about ourselves can become especially dangerous when we enter a new chapter of life?
Yeah, it took me so long to settle into this and to tell people about it. For a long time, I just let people assume that I had a college education. But that teacher, when she said I was too stupid for college, I took it into my heart and I trusted her. And to prove that I wasn't stupid, I ran away from home, got married, got pregnant, graduated from high school. So all those things showing I wasn't stupid. But I did marry the right person, and I surrounded myself by the right friends. And those people always put their hand on my back and said, you can do more, you can be more. And I learned to ask myself, what's next? So first, I learned to speak in public. And next, I learned how to sell. And then I learned how to train. And then I learned how to write. And so I always said, what's next? What's next? What's next? And each next built on the skills that I had learned before. And so when I became confident in who I was able to transfer my confidence to other people. And that's really what I'm excited to do with What's Next Retirement and with my Nexters community, because so many people don't understand the power of having a next. And so I love to just always ask, what's next for you? What are you learning? Where are you going? What are you doing? For my husband and I, next can be as simple as what are we having for dinner or what are we doing for entertainment. And this weekend, we went to a Savannah Bananas baseball game with the rowdy crowd. And oh my gosh, it was so different. It was something we never expected to like and something we never expected to see. But because that was our next, we came away from there with new friends and a new passion to follow that kind of baseball. So every day you have to ask yourself, what's next? It might be take a shower. It might be have a brand new experience. It might be finally write your book. But every time you ask yourself what's next, you release the harsh comments from the past and you live forward into who you can be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Karen. That makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people respond to retirement by downsizing. They tend to reduce most of the things, moving somewhere warmer or simply slowing down. And those things actually solve the deeper problem, if not knowing what's next.
Yeah, it's so true that we can just slow down and our life gets so small because we're not saying what's next. Now, it is a reality that when you retire, you probably don't need as big of a house and you don't need to go as many places. But there is a difference between having a smaller house and having a smaller life. And that's what I think we have to think about is how do we stay so engaged in learning and doing and meeting people that moving into a smaller apartment doesn't make our world smaller. Our world can expand right to the end of our life. We can always be looking for new experiences and new things to learn as long as we keep saying what's next.
Okay, so Karen, you wrote your seventh book through a transparent partnership with AI, right?
So I didn't hear that question very well. Ask me that again.
I said you wrote your seventh book through a transparent partnership with AI, combining your story and AI-generated factual perspectives and action questions. Share with us, what did that experience teach you about using AI without losing the human element of storytelling?
Yeah, so AI was fascinating to work with. I'd been playing with AI for several years. I always tell people to start like I did. The first thing I ever did was had ChatGPT write a love letter to my husband, and it was hilarious because it sounded so robotic. But I had trained my AI agents really well to speak like me. And so when I first decided I would do this project, I thought I'll have AI write the book for me. And I did, and it was done in 2 hours, and it sounded terrible. It didn't sound like me, even though it had my voice profile. And so I fed it more of my work. I thought more about what I wanted it to sound like. And we finally, after about 2 weeks, discovered a rhythm that worked, which was I told the stories from the people I had coached and the life that I had led. And then I had Claude read that story and come in and do research on that. And so it researched it and said, ooh, this is what that means. And this is how that fits into what we're trying to do for this demographic of people. And so AI gave credibility to my stories. It gave a deeper research to my stories, things that I never would have done. And what we ended up with is a book I'm very, very proud of. Once we figured it out, it moved quickly, but it took a lot of learning on how much you could have AI work in a chat before you had to move to a new chat, and how much you had to feed AI to get it to sound exactly like I wanted it to sound. So it was a huge process, but it was also liberating. Now I use my agents very quickly, and I use them as employees and sounding boards instead of as a final result. And I think that's where people make a mistake quite often.
Hey, thank you so much, Karen. So let's talk about Nesters. You decided to close a successful business and go all in on Nesters, rather than simply riding comfortably towards your own retirement. What did you see in other people's experiences that made you realize this mission was necessary?
So I saw it in so many places. We did kind of a baby retirement several times in our life. And we saw that it would be very easy to just sit on the couch and not move forward. And last winter, I saw people who were absolutely bored. They watched TV all day, or one man, just his job was to sit in his garage looking out at the street for 5 hours every day, and he would just watch people go by. And it just looked so incredibly boring, and you could see that his health wasn't good. And so my passion became twofold. One, for me to retire well. We're not retired yet, but I want to get set up to retire really well. And two, to help other people see that you can form a community, you can have a legacy, you can have an identity, your life can continue to expand. So that one story I tell in the book is a man who retired, got divorced, and was then ill, and he died with mice in the couch where he was living and where he was sleeping. And I don't want that to be true for people. So my passion became helping people to have a very energetic and robust lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Karen. This has been wonderful. Finally, before you go, if someone listening is already retired and realizes they have been drifting, what is the first practical thing you would have them do tomorrow to start living forward again?
Thank you for that question. The first thing I would tell them to do is to put away the hurts of the past and the parts of the past that aren't still serving them. If we continue to carry around things like being told you were too stupid to go to college or the promotion you didn't get, you can just swirl in the garbage you're trying to leave behind instead of living forward into the absolute possibilities that are in front of you.
Okay, Karen, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that retirement doesn't have to mean becoming smaller. It can mean becoming more intentional. You can live a career without leaving your ambition. You can age without surrendering your curiosity, and you can close one chapter without knowing exactly what the next chapter looks like yet. So before you go, for those who like to connect with you and learn more about what you do, how can they do that?
The easiest thing to do is go to nexters.life, so nexters.life. And from there, they can join our community. Our community has courses and conversations and continuous posts about retirement. So they can join that community, or they can get the book, What's Next Retirement, on Amazon.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen. And I hope sincerely I was able to give you a platform to express and discuss with me and my audience what you wanted to discuss with us.
Yes, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. For my audience out there, honestly, if this conversation is speaking to you, I'm sure all of us we can all relate to retirement. So make sure you share it with someone out there who needs to hear this. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys. Thank you, Karen.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.